Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another political episode. So, we got some big news out of the state of New York, a solid blue state, or in this case, it could be labeled more of a battleground state. And I would go ahead and say that you might as well allow yourself to get a little bit hopeful because there is a chance that Republicans can pull this off in New York. Now, a lot of the skeptics and the liberals, we know for sure, will be like, no, that's not going to happen. And true, the likelihood of it not happening is more high than likely. But you have convincing polls and sources that you will definitely see that Republicans are definitely going to overperform their wins in 2022. We know 2022 was very unprecedented. It was one of the very unknown, a very few wins that the Republican Party took home. Although they lost every race in New York, they took home political wins, like in the Secretary of State race and the New York governorship. Because relatively, this is New York. This is supposed to be solid blue territory. But now we're seeing the opposite effect. We're seeing these New York going more rightward. Now, going to 2026, you're seeing that, Kathy Hochul's not going to do so well. And I'm saying, no, Political Report is wrong. It's not going to be likely Democratic. In fact, all these poll sources are not indicating a likely Democratic win for the governor. Instead, it's in a leaning margin. The best performance has actually been a poll released not too long ago on the 2nd. And I don't know why we're covering this late, but Elise Stefanik almost defeating Kathy Hochul. But Kathy Hochul managed to win and defeat Elise Stefanik by 1 point. 1 point. That is a historic embarrassment. Yes, Kathy Hochul, she won the poll, and I want to believe, if I'm not mistaken, Lee Zeldin won a couple polls. Yeah, you'll see Lee Zeldin won a poll with Kathy Hochul, and you got a tie. So, yes, and you got a couple polls here, so you're like, and still, Hochul still won. Yes, but the polls, the aggregate was very accurate here. And if we try to combine this in aggregate, and this already began to start, it's starting now. When did these bad polls for the Democrats begin anyway? That's probably a question you're probably asking. All right. Yeah, January 2022 is when we got the real polls. You got a 2-point win for Zeldin, and that's when everyone thought, this poll's not really real. That's when we all found out, okay, look at what we actually we didn't even know. But yes, you get what I'm saying. These are most of them were solid wins all the way through, and that's what everyone kind of thought. But going forward, the 2026 race, you have this poll dropping, and it's a MAGA candidate, and you would think, okay, this is good news for a MAGA candidate. And I'm going to go forward now, and I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to be quite honest. A lot of people might be angry at me for doing this, but I don't think a MAGA candidate is going to win New York. We got to be honest with ourselves. We got to go ahead and actually choose a better candidate. I would go as far as saying actually choosing a rhino like Betsy McCaffrey. She was the Liberal nominee in 1998. How was her performance? She was in the third party, I want to believe. Yeah, Liberal. Betsy McCaffrey. She was the lieutenant governor of New York. And she does have a more history of liberal, more liberal policies. Although, she's a Republican, but however, this is going to be a problem because she was a part of the Trump She was married who went to serve into I get what she's saying, but I think she is more of a liberal candidate. I would say it's kind of interesting. Let's see what her views are. Because I was thinking, okay, maybe being a liberal, she ran as the liberal nominee, center left. Although she's now a Republican now, maybe her views have kind of changed. That's what I'm kind of thinking what happened. But yeah, she was George Pataki's running mate in 1994. And we know George Pataki is very liberal, a very liberal Republican. But I was just saying, regardless who that Rhino Republican being, this is when the rhinos come into handy. I'll tell you right now, I was very opposed in when it came to the 2024 United States Senate election in Maryland. I knew, like, I was very hopeful we could pick up that seat. I'll be honest with you. I kind of thought Hogan could have pulled it up because he did have a good electoral history. But then again, we have the wokey wokes, the DEI hires in Maryland. And not to mention the Democrats are out and voting because it's a presidential year. So, but I was saying, hey, look, it would be making more sense. And I still hold myself to this view to put Hogan over Robin Thicke. Why? Why would I still say this? Because I know with the Robin Thicke run, Angela also Brooks would have received a much wider win. Now, we did very well. We won areas like in Frederick County in Maryland, Anne Arundel counties. Those two counties are reliably Democratic. Now, Hogan ended up flipping those counties, which originally went for Hardin. He also solidified the Dipper in Maryland. And there's a reason being he ran on a more liberal platform. And that's why I'm saying I'm not 100%. I do not like rhinos. I disagree with them, but there are Republicans and we have them for a reason. We got to use them very similar to how Democrats used them in 2006. We see in the 2006 elections in the United States Senate. The Democrats, part of the reason how they solidified their Senate gain is by, let's see, how many seats? Yeah, I want to believe they won 22 seats. It's 49-49. It was pretty much tied. Harry Reid won the Senate, and reason why being they ran conservative Democrats. Now, I want to make myself 100% clear. Claire McCaskill is not a conservative. I don't know why they call her a centrist, but she's not. John Tester, Sherrod Brown. Now, okay, maybe they aren't conservatives, but at the time they ran on conservative platforms. For example, Bob Casey ran as a pro-life Democrat, which was pretty interesting. So like Sherrod Brown, he's pretty left right now, but he ran on a more conservative platform. Same deal with Jim Webb. Ran it on a more conservative platform. In Virginia, it was relatively more of a red state. And it's same thing in 2008. Although they didn't do it as much, they really did rely more on Obama. So if Democrats can do that back then, I think we could do that now. And not to mention, Democrats don't do it anymore because they will cancel and eliminate anyone that disagrees with them on the issue. So I would say, hey, look, guys, I know it may make us feel a little wheezy and cute, a little weird. But you know what? I totally would be like, okay, we have to back a rhino in this. I like Elise Stefanik, but we need to choose someone who's actually going to get liberals out and voting. You got to take advantage of the fact that liberals don't like Hochul, that they're revolting over Hochul. Now, there are liberals that are 100% Democrat, and they'll never vote for a Republican. But those are liberals that are bought and sold, in my view, for Kathy Hochul. Right now, it looks like we're not going like you got Carl Hyde Jr., the town supervisor of Bethany, and Patrick Hahn. So let's go ahead. We don't really have real polls coming out. We'll just say it's a Hyde Jr. versus Hochul, a Hyde versus Hochul race. what would that look like? Now, I do think now a town supervisor of Bethany, I highly would suggest someone more qualified. Maybe I suggest running the lieutenant governor. Just because and then again, they're going to be more conservative. They know this. I think people common sense, they know what they're getting. But we're going to try to reach someone. I would say Betsy McCaffrey, running would be more in interest. I want Mike Lawler to stay in his seat. I'm being dead serious. He needs to stay in his seat. This is a seat that Kamala Harris won. He needs to stay in that seat so he can keep it red. You got John Katzimindis, whatever his name is. Oh, yes, he was the candidate for mayor of 2013. He's a businessman. I guess he's okay. And then, of course, there is Bruce Blakeman, who have publicly expressed a run. So we're going to have to say, let's just say, so far our candidate, we'll just say leading candidate, my guess is Hyde, because he's more experienced. We have no real description of who Patrick Hahn is. So I would say Hyde is likely going to be the nominee at this rate. And obviously, Hochul will probably win the said race. But it's about what's it going to look like. And I'll tell you, it's going to look relatively very different compared to 2022. And I say this with Hyde being not really the most recognizable candidate. Well, he is going to be known as the candidate of change. We never heard of your name before. But people are like, okay, we'll go for whoever. Hochul, we just can't have Hochul for 4 more years. So people are going to be put in this desperate situation. Now, am I saying going with Hyde would be the best thing? No. I do think we should go with someone that has more experience than being a town supervisor. But we have already have proof of New York counties trending more to the rightward direction. First off, I have a good feeling that Hochul isn't going to pick up most of her counties. Like, for instance, these are the counties. She isn't going to pick up any new counties in this said race. If you're wondering, is Hochul going to win any new counties? The likely answer is probably likely not. Because although we have 2 sources saying that she could, I am saying no. Because she has hit historic unpopularity levels, and obviously we've had Governor Cuomo, Mark Cuomo, or is it Governor Cuomo? He in 2018. Yes, you'll see here Andrew Cuomo, not Mark Cuomo. But yes, Andrew Cuomo. He lost this county right here. This is a university county. Yes, he's losing counties, even Shenandoah County, whatever it's called. He's losing counties. The reason why, okay, he's doing horrible in upstate New York, but he's doing actually relatively okay down here. He got almost 60%. Reason why, New York City, you have the Bronx, 90% for Cuomo. You have Manhattan. You have Brooklyn, 80%, 70% for Cuomo, and in Queens. Okay, you got these said results. But yeah, and that's Mark Molinaro. Yeah, now he's the administrator of that said deal. But yeah, Molinaro, he's a part of the Trump administration now. He had very well going on the offensive, carrying even Cortland, which was relatively still pretty liberal. Orange County, he lost. Richmond, still did pretty good though. So the idea is, Hochul is probably going to lose these counties. Okay, so she is probably carrying 6 counties in upstate New York. And down here. So I would say, guessing wise, this is what it would look like. Hyde doing very well though. When it comes to actually doing better than Molinaro, things have changed a little bit. But I would say the reason why Hyde's doing better than Molinaro is not because he is less experienced, not because Molinaro's MAGA or something like that. No, it's because this is a vote against Hochul, okay? If this county's here, a lot of people didn't like Cuomo, especially in upstate New York. Downstate New York, they seem to like him, actually. But upstate New York, people up there, very hard to convince people to like him. And you'll see here, looking at the said results, it was pretty much a vote against him. I was like, okay, apply this and just take away Rockland County, Suffolk, Nassau, Richmond counties, and maybe dim it down in New York a little bit. You would have a more competitive result right here. But the final line, can Republicans flip New York? I think it's possible. It's going to happen someday. But better day than now. But then again, you're going to have, you got to have to give a good alternative, because if in order to get those liberals that are very hesitant to vote Republican because of the left-wing conspiracy theories they say, then I'm usually I'm not that person that will cater to the left, but I'm a person that, hey, look, you got to look at the climate, okay? So I think of it like this: you want to go jet skiing. However, the lake or the ocean or whatever it is, the lake's it's too windy out, and it's causing massive waves. So you want to do a jet ski, right? Jet skiing, but it's too wavy out. It can be dangerous. So you have to do a different option. You're not a fan of surfing, but in order to do it, to have a good time, you might have to do it this time. This is very like this situation. Let's just say, yes, we would love to go with Elise Stefanik or someone who really aligns with MAGA values, but the climate, the weather in New York is not favorable for them. So similar to like what I've said about New Jersey, everyone likes Bill Spadia, and I keep saying, Bill Spadia, I like him. He's amazing. I stand and agree with him on everything. Not voting for him. The reason, I'm not from New Jersey, so I can't vote for him. But I recommend not, because weather in New Jersey, the political climate's not favorable for him. So, although in New Jersey, I would not recommend voting for the Rhino candidate, because I don't think New Jersey's a state that you need a Rhino to run, and I think Jack Chiarelli is the perfect candidate to run in New Jersey to win. But in cases of New York, yeah, I would say John Bramnick would be that type of person to run in New York. Although, I think he needs to be a resident of New York in order to run. But in this case, looking at the New York election, if there's a Rhino coming in there, this person's going to run on liberal values. He might want to be anti-Trump. Do I want him to be anti-Trump? Absolutely not. And I don't think that's healthy. But then again, I'm not going to go and attack him for being anti-Trump. All I'm saying is you got to have some understanding that this Republican is trying to seize the more liberal votes and kind of run like a Phil Scott in Vermont. And at the time I was very mad. Ugh, the Phil Scotts, the Susan Collins of the world, they're so narcissistic. Well, then I'm like, oh wait, hang on, I see, they're trying to keep their job. Now personally, I would think, oh, Phil Scott better be a Democrat if he's going to align with those values, but he is a proud Republican. And maybe his party's is like family to him. So the Republican governor of Vermont takes all these left-wing positions, and gains trust among the Vermontian peoples. So, and I'm thinking that, yeah, this Republicans kind of have to be like a Phil Scott if he wants, or he or she wants to run, win, and get reelected in 2030, which would be the next governor's race. But this is pretty much a best case scenario for the Republican. Victory would be probably looking like something like this. Along the lines, you could say you could give Shananika, whatever that county's called, or I don't know what its name is, maybe giving. So it's looking something similar to like this as a victory. It really is going to be depending on how much Queens is going, how much the Bronx are going for that said Republican. And similar to going back through time. Oh, yeah, you'll also see in 2014. I would say, yeah, Ulster County could go red. Well, yeah, but this is 2014. This is 10 years ago, guys. And I'm going to go ahead and say politics, people have moved around. It's gotten more liberaler. I say this is outdated. This is voided. I say 2018 and less is voided. And although if it were 2022, maybe I would consider this. But yeah, this is a good result for Rob Astorno or Astronino, who won Wayne County. But you'll see, yeah, Andrew Cuomo did very good in upstate in 2010. But going back, like the George Pataki of the world, yeah, he's gonna have to do very good. Get Queens in a 40-50% margin gap, the Bronx in a 50% margin gap. That's gonna be hard. And that's only to get 49%. So there's going to be a steep hill to climb. But if people really hate Hochul that much, we could either throw her out, and I doubt we will, but we might be surprised. The Republican nominee could surprise us. But anyway, what do you guys think in regards to this video? Yeah, and here's a better result here too also. Before I end this. Yes, you can have 50%. That's at 60%. Manhattan and the Bronx at 60% margin gap. You can have that. But you need to crank up all those numbers. Like, for instance, Erie County needs to be red. Ulster County. Now, I don't personally, like, down here maybe, oh yeah, they're a little populated here. You got to win Nassau 60%. Orange County 60%. You got to win most of these counties in 60% and 70%. You got to get upstate New York either in 70 or 60% margin gap. And that's going to be difficult in order to become the governor, although Tom Golisano is taking votes away. But like I was going to say, what do you guys think about this video? Let me know down below. And as always, I'll see you all in the next political episode.